So I don't know if you can see, it's so stormy and dark outside. It is in everything. I just feel like this exhaustion. Like I feel like it's supposed to be like we're in some sort of hibernation or something. And I don't know what is about to happen. Something's about to happen. I don't know for sure what, but there's something that is about to change everything. Like, what I've talked about so many times, where the pendulum goes so far one way, it has to swing back. But it is that momentum, because it really is literally like it's being held over here. When it swings back, it's going to be very dramatic. I really think it's going to just flip everything to right side up, because so many people are so focused on the upside down. They think that the non-truth is the truth and the truth is fake. And one thing, this morning I had seen this woman. She said that she watched this documentary and it was so enlightening, and she recommended it. So I went in and I found it, and I started watching. It's 8 hours. I'll share the link. But it's an 8-hour documentary, and it starts out about the flat Earth stuff. And I've seen the flat Earth stuff, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And it definitely, when I saw it, but I'm a truther, I'm looking for the truth. I'm not looking to be told something. And so when I went in and I started looking at the stuff, there's the people who, who are active in that movement they do all this science experiment. I mean, they know their stuff. Like, they could recognize that something was off, and they can explain it really well. I can't. I can watch it and I can understand what they're talking about, but I sure can't go in and start, giving their information. So I would recommend going and watch their information. Even this documentary does such a long thing about it. But one of the things that gets me is that how many people go in and are just like right away, just cut that off. Nope. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to watch something that's ridiculous. I'm not going to watch something about a flat earth. That's just stupid. Why would, they just go at it like that from the beginning. They don't go in, look at the information and weigh the information. Like, okay, here's the information on the globe that the government and schools and educators tell us. Here's the information about the flat earth that the citizen scientists and the people who are speaking out about that, here's their information, and then go in and weigh it out for yourself. Like, what makes sense to you? And do these experiments make more sense than these experiments? And, to me, I remember being in elementary school. I remember them teaching about the earth and them making a big thing about how stupid people were when they thought the earth was flat, and they would just go right off the edge of the earth. And, and they talk about Christopher Columbus. Well, even when I was in Spain and found out Christopher Columbus had never even been to America, he was just, pioneer, I think, were the ones that walked on land. Whatever those people were called, the ones that went on their boats and went out to search for new lands and stuff like that. So I don't know. They just picked one of those guys and said, hey, we're going to say he came here and he did that, because he did do that stuff in South America. There was a lot of murder and mayhem, what they did when they went over there. But it wasn't here. Like, I don't know what all went down here. They lie about everything. And, but anyway, so when they were saying that, he went out to prove the earth wasn't flat, he wouldn't fall off. And I think he had 3 boats, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria or something, and went out to prove that the earth was not flat for the queen, because she needed to know. And you can't fall off of it because it has an ice wall all the way around it. And when you go in and you watch the people talk about the experiments and stuff like that, like what they say about this, well, then why isn't it work when you do it? If they say, like, you have to compensate because it's round, so as the plane is going, it would have to constantly be tilting down. Like, there's certain experiments that they show, you know, that you go in and you start seeing like, oh my gosh, yeah, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. But I remember being in elementary school while they were teaching this, and they started teaching us about the round globe. And I remember asking questions, you know, like, well, how does water stay on? Why didn't the water fall off? And how is it that when we're upside down, if the planet is upside down sometimes, why can't we feel when we're upside down? And then when they even talk about with gravity and stuff like that, well, if gravity is holding the water and holding us, and so then how do the birds just go up and fly around? So, you know, they're not struggling like, oh, I gotta get off this gravity. I mean, they get up there and then just go in the current and start going. So there's a lot of stuff that they tell you that just, you know, doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. But this documentary, I fell asleep for a minute because I've just had shitty night's sleep the past few days, well, past few weeks. But when I woke back up, it was talking about pizza and DC and all that stuff. So I think it's pretty in-depth, all of the things that it's debunking in this video. So I recommend it so far. I'm only like 2 hours in, and some of it I was asleep. So, and it's 8 hours. So, but definitely the stuff with the flat earth. And then one other thing, too, with that guy on the TikTok that I said, that he is always putting like all of these different things together, like the ancient language and symbolism and the planet and the chakras and stuff like that. His stuff is really interesting. Some people are so smart how they can you know, not regurgitate it, but explain it. They can just explain it in such a depth that is fascinating. But one of the things to me is with the earth thing. So in the diagram, we give the old map before they started trying to sell us on this globe one. And they use it in all of these different symbols and signs and stuff. But so this one, it has a North Pole in the center, and then the ice goes around the whole outside. And everything in nature has like this swirling pattern that goes around, but it moves up and out. Like it swirls and it moves up and out. So to me, that pole right there, then the other pole would be, it'd almost be invisible. Like it's like we're inside out, kind of. It's not like a globe that's out like this. It's more like a globe that's in like this. And why there's a firmament, why there's a top part, which I saw somebody who did a rocket. It was like a more sophisticated rocket than most of us would have, but some kind of rocket went up, I don't know, it seemed like it said like 7,000 miles or something crazy, and it hit into something. And before it hit, it also started moving like it was in water. So is our solar system really just water surrounding us? And that would make sense on a lot of different things with the ships and stuff like that. The whole thing with the sun and how you can see ships going in and out of it. Well, if it's so hot, then, you know, how is that happening? Or is it just this plasma kind of like a portal, kind of? And the reason we feel heat from it is because it's being manufactured with those like some kind of illumination that they're doing to create heat to come back on us. I don't know. There's so much fascinating stuff. But so if the hole is there and everything moves in this pattern that goes out, and then you go out like this, and it doesn't have to be, it can be super gradual, but then it starts creating that ice wall. And when this, in the documentary, this guy goes and he flies in a plane, and you're not allowed to fly over Antarctica. And the second you go into their airspace, like, what do they want to protect this ice wall? You got to think about this stuff. Like, well, it is this huge protection because alarms start sounding. And he said immediately, and he shows the footage, immediately they had planes surrounding them, telling them that they needed to leave that space and they were going to be shot down and stuff. And so he went and talked to one of the pilots and he said, yeah, they'll shoot you down. What is it they're trying to hide so much? Why do they not want us to see? What is all the secrets? But so if it is like this turning, I can see where they came up with the idea of like, okay, it's a globe. We have like a bubble kind of thing here and it's moving. But then when they start talking about like how fast it's moving and how it's circulating and it's going and stuff like that, you can go on a ride, a Ferris wheel, and your face is like getting smashed back. But here we just go about our daily life. Like, why is it when we're going in a car, how do we ever get where we're going? We're not going as fast as the planet's moving. How's that work? There's just so much stuff that when you start really, it's more about the questions. The more questions you ask, the more you have to look for the answers, and the more you find out the answers don't line up with what they've been telling us. So I find the flat earth stuff fascinating. And the more I see about it, the more I am like, hell yeah, this is definitely something that is sitting. It's not moving. Like, we are the center of this universe. We are the center, but everything is dimensions and realms and stuff. And that's why space people, we're told they're thousands of light years away, but all they got to do is just zip right over here, because it's a movement through portals and stuff. Like I say that this solar system is like a honeycomb kind of thing, and you can travel once you understand how it works. And that's where we're headed to. But see, you have to get your own control of your own consciousness to be able to go into more sophisticated kind of gifts that you have. Because if you had all of your gifts and you were in this controlled environment, I swear to God, I should just go here and sleep. I can be so tired. I can get up and I'll go lay on the couch. Be like, oh, I'm just gonna go sleep while she's asleep. Within 2 seconds, she's up and staring at me crying. It's like, oh, what is going on in this weird world? Oh God, I feel like I'm in some sort of weird time warp or something. I don't know what the fuck. I don't even know if I'm really here. Maybe I am just light out dancing for itself out there. I don't know. I'm very confused. So anyways, it's trash trucks. The more you question things, the more you have to look into stuff, and the more you see, like, the stuff they tell you is not adding up. It doesn't make any sense. And definitely the flat earth stuff with so if it is, we're stationary, but there is movement, because there's always movement. Nature has movement. So it is an ever-changing movement, but it is contained. Like the firmament thing, I think that is real. It is a contained thing. And I think for myself now, the way I see how things are with people's minds being so controlled, and what it takes to pull free from the control, and what parts of yourself come on and begin to question things. It's a process. It's a process of evolution, of movement in your conscious spirit self to realize itself, and pulling free from this controlled system. So if you had your gifts and you were in this controlled system, your gifts would be manipulated. Because they even did that, like when you learn about the secret space program and the whistleblowers who have talked about that's what they did. They went into schools and they were testing us, supposedly. Who knows what the fuck they were even saying they were testing us for? It doesn't make any sense. But what they were really looking for is people that had certain gifts, so that they could manipulate those gifts. Like if you go in and listen about what Corey Good says, that they could recognize that he had psychic abilities, and he was also already on their radar. Like, they had certain people already on their radar because their family comes from military, and they are always testing on the military. They're constantly giving them this. They're constantly trying to create these superhumans and these soldiers, and it's all about these people who have been controlling this place. I mean, when we were outraged by what they did to the Jews during the Holocaust, that is what they've been doing the whole time on this planet. This is a giant science experiment. They used people for their science experiments. So if you have gifts, then they are manipulating them. But in this awakening, when you awaken to your own self-empowerment and your own abilities to decipher your reality and see through the illusion, and then you start to develop your gifts yourself, then that's the evolution of your spirit going into this higher state of consciousness. So that is the ascension, that is enlightenment, that is you moving towards this higher state of being where you do have gifts and you do have abilities. And this new age that we're moving into is going to be about learning about those gifts and the hidden truths of your own abilities and your own power. And when you move into that and you start getting, into your own power and your own abilities, it's going to open up this whole existence in a whole new way. And there will be like what we consider to be time travel and, going to other planets, just like how they can come here. It's just other existences, it's other realms, it's other states of being. So you can incarnate and learn. And this one has been a really difficult one. I think it is one to just, like it's a beginning one. That's why it is so difficult. You have to prove yourself to have abilities to move into ones where there isn't so much restriction. Because when you go, if some of these people, like, what would they do if they were in another place and they could just, commit crimes and get away with it all over the place? And these people who are in the other place are all just gentle beings who would never hurt one another. Well, you see how that's like putting a disease into that, right? You take somebody here who thinks that it's okay to go, oh, I'm having a bad day, I'm going to go, drink some whiskey and go out and shoot people. That's how I get rid of my energy. You can't take that disease of the mind into the higher realms. It has to have a firmament. It has to have a cap. Because that energy can't go up there, because in the other energy, like for a lot of us who came from other places to come down here for this event that's happening, that, when we came into this place, it was all about trust, and, you would never think somebody would screw you over. You would only understand honesty and love and stuff, so it was real easy for people to target you. So imagine those people having a whole planet to do that too. So it all makes sense to me. It's going to sound crazy to a lot of people, but it makes sense to me. And why this is more of a elementary program for the soul to come in and learn about itself. And there's so many different ways to learn about yourself, like so many different incarnations that you can do on this planet because of nature and the animals and everything. I saw the coolest video. And that's one thing too, when you start becoming a lot more with your enlightenment, you start connecting to nature in a completely different way. You start feeling your connection with all things. And it was really cool is this woman, I'm not sure what the thing was, I just ran across the one video, but she had a horse and she was taking off all its stuff so it could go and run, just let it go run. It seems kind of like, is this a horse she was healing and it was a wild horse and now she's letting it go again? Or is this just one that she lets it go out and run? No matter what it was, the joy that this horse displays, it makes me feel emotional just picturing it in my head. It was so emotional. It was the coolest thing. The horse got so excited, and it started making these, it wasn't like a crying, it was like this excitement. And it just took off running, and it went far, and you could still hear it just like screaming out like joy. And that is when I was talking about when I painted my house last year, and it was right in the beginning of spring, and it was right as all of these little spiders were hatching out, and I had to go up, which I'm scared to death of heights, and I had to, fight through that fear and go up on the really tall ladder, and so go way up to paint up at the top, and by myself, nobody there to even stand down there with a mattress to catch me, or try and push the ladder back up. It was terrifying. But when I got up there was all these spiders that were coming down, these little tiny spiders, and they would just drop down all of a sudden, and then they would swing like they were on a swing. And in my head, which I thought it was in my head, but I really feel like I was picking up on their energy of how happy they were. It was like this excitement, and they were just dropping down all around me, and I wasn't feeling scared or like they were going to get on me or something. I was just enjoying watching them be so excited to just be alive in their first going out and feeling the movement and the wind. And another thing, speaking of spiders, is, if we weren't supposed to see all things, then, spiders have all of those eyes. Flies have all of those eyes. I mean, we're meant to see things. Things are being hidden from us on purpose. We're meant to see what is around us. We're meant to understand it. So, this is that part of the enlightenment, to have the things exposed so that you can see them and understand them. But you also have to question things. You have to question your reality. You have to question, just like I said, with the earth stuff. If you just sit there and go like, nope, that's stupid. The earth is a globe, and it's out in space, and they went to the moon, and all of this stuff that has been proven over and over and over that is not real. But if you're just going to go with the narrative and you're not going to question it, then you are satisfied. So you have to put in the effort to question the things, to find the holes, to find your answers. They're not going to just be presented to you. There is no savior, remember? And how many people are waiting for a savior? Somebody is going to come in and save them. But it's you who has to save yourself. It's you who has to question your own reality and has to put in the work. And part of unity is going in and listening to people that you wouldn't necessarily ever think you would agree with, or that would have anything useful for you to hear. And when you go in and you start listening to people you wouldn't think you would have anything, you start feeling that, oh, they're just like me. Oh, okay, so they have blue hair and, rings in their noses and stuff like that, but they have valuable things they have to say. And you start going in as people have value and listening to the different people. Like, there's people who would see me as not having value because I've got so many tattoos. They would automatically be like, oh, she's crazy. She's a drug addict. She's probably a prostitute. So is, and that's up to them. And you don't see value in me because you only see the skin. That is your first block. That's your first thing to block you from information. That's your first hurdle to get over. Why would I look at somebody and think they have no value over how they present themselves physically, which some of it can be, just from the color of someone's skin. And there's so much now. When I was talking about the melanin stuff, it was the stuff I talk about is, if you're a channeler, I hate labels, but if you are somebody who's a channeler, then the information's just coming in. They're just telling you stuff all the time. And in my case, they're telling me to go and talk about it, which is a lot to trust when, you're being told and compelled to do these things, but the algorithms are, shut you in a closet. And then they keep saying, just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. So I keep doing it. Keep saying what they tell me to say. But they bring me information to confirm what they tell me all the time. and so much information now. I keep seeing about the melanin stuff, and the melanin, it isn't just in their skin. It's like it's in different part. I know it has something to do with why they are purposely trying to defeat that. People who have that, is they're still fighting that tribe kind of mentality. They don't want us to come together. They don't want us to see things in what's best for us all. They want us to get in that ego-driven society. It's just you. And, the whole thing with psychology, everything they do, it is so intricate into their plan of keeping you just focused on what's outside of you and how you feel, because everything's about you. And, it's a lot to break through. And I think the more that you have had to struggle or be bullied or had to humble yourself for whatever reason, the easier it is for you to kind of start transforming yourself into that kind of, it doesn't matter what other people think of you, and pulling free from that. But it's a very complex approach, because it is so programmed and indoctrinated into you. So it is how we develop relationships. And just like I said with psychology, go in and talk about your problems. Well, it's this person's fault. It's this person's fault. Oh, it's this person's fault. No, when you start approaching life from everything is coming from within me, I'm putting out. I'm looking for messages to confirm my own biases. I'm putting out and projecting what I think of myself. So it's a whole transformation. It's not a quick fix. These people who, and that's one thing too, is there's a lot of people who get the spiritual call and they start, trying to teach spirituality like it's a textbook. Just do this, just raise your vibration, just focus on this, do your affirmations, and woo, you're all spiritual. No, it's not like that. I come at it from experience, actually having to go through it. So I talk about it from what I've had to go through to get to that point, to get to that place. And yeah, it has nothing to do. You can light all the candles you want and turn on all the high vibe music and, do all of the things, take a bath, meditate, eat right, and stuff like that. But if you still are carrying a lot of wounds and you're still approaching relationships in that dysfunctional way, then it's all a show. It's all just on the outside. Because on the inside, that is where the work is. And that is where you have to heal. That is where you raise your vibration. That is where you start to approach people in a different way, I mean, I saw people who, come at me like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, change this, change that. No, that's not how this works. And this works in a way of you beginning to take responsibility for your own self. So, whatever it is in a bad relationship, instead of it's them, they're a narcissist, it's their fault, they're selfish, they're blah, 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 all the different things. It's when you go in and start looking at yourself. Okay, well, if they're all those things, then what am I? Who am I? Why am I putting myself in this relationship? What is it that I need to learn from this? What is it I need to grow from this? Because you can't do anything about changing somebody else. You can only change yourself. And however long that you've got to stay there and have these things keep happening to get you to wake up to that you are the only one who can get yourself out of situations. And it all is how you start to look at it, look at your place. If you just go around like, oh, I'm a victim, everyone's out to get me, I can't do anything, then that's how you're going to live your life. And that is, a state of consciousness. That is a state of being. And, that is perfectly fine if you need to stay there longer. I'm not saying force yourself into growth. If you're not having these, insights to guide you towards your growth, go with what your guidance is telling you, because everybody has their own soul purpose and what their plan was, what they're here to learn. And not every single one is about the ascension. There could be very well a lot of people who are going to die in this existence who are going to come and be born into the new one, that they're going to go in that direction. Like there's a lot of different ways that this is going to go down. So listen to your own inner guidance. But for the people who are being guided to start seeing through the illusion and start working on themselves, that's who I'm trying to help, because it's real easy when you've got people who are just trying to give you the textbook version, because it's just words. You have to do the work. You have to actually go in and do the work. And I did see one person who she did some little TikTok, and she was talking about, when you're doing all of the things, you've got your candles lit, you've got your all the stuff, whatever she had in her list, and then you realize you still have work to do in order to really feel that enlightenment. That's what I'm saying. That's where you got to start. I say all those things are good practices to take care of yourself, but the start is the healing. The beginning point is to center on you. To the center of the universe is you, and to move out of that victim mentality and move into taking responsibility for everything that you do and everything, all your interactions, because you play a part in your life. But as long as you're always thinking it's from someone else, and there's a whole state of being when you move into viewing the world from a soul's perspective rather than viewing it from the avatar's perspective. So there's a lot to it, and there's and I'll keep trying to explain it for the people who that's what they want to focus on, is their healing, that they really want to work on their ascension, that they're having all of this stuff come on inside of them that is guiding them towards that. That's why I'm talking about the healing and stuff and what I went through, because I went through it a little bit earlier, but it was so that I could help other people go through it, because it isn't just follow these steps and you're enlightened. No, it all has to do with your healing yourself. That is how you become enlightened. So work on you and have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.